pulling that trigger, my love gun, baby. How about a little Kiss? There you go. Nice way to start out the show. Some old 77 rock there from Kiss, Love Gun. I do indeed love that song very much. Great album, by the way. I'm a big Kiss fanatic. Anyway, we are talking today about wrestling, and that is why we are called Off the Top Rope Radio. And it's a pleasure to have each and every one of you listening to us today on this fine Wednesday, September 17th, the year 2014. We're back here in the good old KQCK studios in Santan Valley, Arizona, just south of Phoenix, just north of Tucson. We're having a great day so far. Lots to talk about. A big pay-per-view coming up here next Sunday, the 21st. We'll get to that, obviously. We'll talk about the Raw program we saw last week. Our likes, our dislikes, our superstar of the week, all that information and more right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. My name is Brian Shank. I welcome you to the show. I am the host as usual. And we are heard exclusively on KQCK.com, heard worldwide, Daddy, from everywhere, every little state, every little nook and cranny of this 24,000-mile circumference Earth. We can be heard some way, shape, or form on a computer, a laptop, a Kindle, a phone, whatever you have. Right on this great various different songs and stuff, too. We also do talk shows, and we do political shows and stuff like that. So you may want to just go on the website, KQCK.com, check out all the great stuff that we do here. Not just this fine wrestling program, but many, many other things. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my longtime friend, my co-host of the show, at least for the first 30 minutes of the program anyway. He's my buddy. He's the senior editor of WrestleRumors.com. You know, hold on. I got to fix something here. This is bothering me. I beg your pardon. Hold on. I just want to fix this microphone sound. It's ringing in my ear, and that is better already. All right, let me try this again. My good buddy Doug McDonald, senior editor of WrestlingRumors.net. Now I can hear better, and I know that I will enjoy listening to him talk to me about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. Doug, how you doing, my friend?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Now I got that little buzzing going on here fixed in my ear. I had a little problem there, and it wasn't up to par, but now it is. We're back enjoying ourselves, and interesting week here in professional wrestling, Doug. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and we don't mean a Clint Eastwood flick. We talk about the world of professional wrestling, and I want to start off right away and throw this at you because the only thing I could think of the whole time I watched Raw this week was, to me, and this is just my opinion, I want to see what you think about this, but to me, it seems like they just gave away too much on a free television show 6 months prior to a somewhat major pay-per-view program. I didn't like the John Cena and Brock Lesnar hooked up at All Inside the Ring. That should have never happened, in my opinion. I don't like that Roman Reigns went against Seth Rollins and he won clean via pinfall. I don't like that. I don't like that the Miz got pinned, that is, by Dolph Ziggler. There was a lot of things I just didn't like about this Raw. It didn't add any mystery to the pay-per-view coming up. I don't like that they gave away so much for free on TV with the same matches, 3 of the same type of deal matches they're going to have in just 6 days from that time. I don't know what you think, but that's how I feel. Tell us what you think.
If there's a proverbial ball, this company has dropped it, and it has rolled under a chest of drawers or something, and they don't know where it is. Just wait till you get to my superstar of the week. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, I think I have an idea who it is, but I'm going to leave it alone. Obviously, let you tell it and everything.
I guarantee you have no idea who it is.
Okay, good.
If Raw Monday was an example of what we're going to get for the rest of the fall, I am extremely worried about wrestling in general, and what kind of fans are going to be watching.
Mm-hmm.
The rating was a 1.8.
Was that what it was? Oh my God!
A 1.8, which I actually was praying for, because after watching the crap that I saw on TV, I really wanted people to turn off their television so that WWE would get slapped in the face with, okay, you've been putting on consistent crap for the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
The only thing that's going to make you wake up and book things differently is for people to stop watching.
Yeah.
Because right now, they're still watching, so it doesn't matter what crap put on TV.
Well, let me ask you this, because you bring that up, and I totally agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I totally agree with you. But in what particular realm are you talking about in regards to the argument you just made? Do you agree with me by saying that they put on way too much? Yeah, I mean, they to me, it's just
Why do I care about Rollins and Reigns?
I know.
Why do I care about what they do on Sunday?
It doesn't matter.
Why would I care?
It doesn't matter.
Why would you not have the other people in the tag match? Why would you not have R-Truth pin Sandow?
Exactly.
I don't understand. Having Cena and Lesnar get a little physical, it's not awful in my opinion, but to have Cena be the one that's been booked as this, monster after getting obliterated by this guy 4 weeks ago is the stupidest thing, and it's all Vince McMahon. It's all Vince McMahon. He has been the one behind the booking of John Cena. He was the one behind the whole, let's wait and do this segment at halftime, so let's draw out our program. Let's put Mark Henry and Rusev in the main event of Raw. It wasn't even a match. It was a rally of the country. It was a rally of America.
Yeah.
Was this 1994? Is the Lex Express coming back? What's happening?
I think Lex Express was 93. But no, I know what you're saying. And here's the thing. To me, I watched the program and I tried to keep an open mind because I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to obviously get you interested in the pay-per-view coming up. And in case you haven't been following Raw in the past few weeks, maybe you weren't too exactly sure of who was going to face each other, and we'll run that down later and give our predictions and whatnot. But totally agree with you, Doug. The whole situation to me just felt so desperate. It was like there was a stench of desperation on this show to really try to get people to be enthusiastic about a pay-per-view that is not even one of the top 4, in my opinion. And you told me this last month. You said Night of Champions is going to be huge.
It was supposed to be, but they dropped the ball.
Right. They sure did. They sure did.
I know so many people that are going to cancel their subscription after this. Other than getting the library, why would I want to pay even $9.99 a month to watch a crap pay-per-view that they've been building? The thing is, when TV's been bad, the pay-per-views have been great. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to get people to subscribe to the network. You're not going to get people to want to actually get the pay-per-view if your TV is crap. Mm-hmm. And this whole let's call it a season premiere, and then let's do a halftime show segment. They're trying to go head to head with Monday Night Football. Why? Mm-hmm. They get 15.6 million people a week watching them. You get 4.7 on a good night. You had 3.2 this past Monday, and it dropped during the third hour. Your main event, it dropped. The Lesnar Cena segment dropped. Tell me why Vince McMahon wants to go head to head with Monday Night Football. It makes zero sense. You know what? More people's going to watch your show if your show is better, if your show is written better, if your show is booked better, and your show has more stuff to make people go, holy crap, I got to watch next week.
Well, and we also talked about last week on how good the segment was with the NXT guys and how it kind of really seemed to kind of boost up the particular actual wrestling on the show. You also talked about Mark Henry and Rusev being in the main event, so to speak. It wasn't even a wrestling match. It was a cheer. It was a rally. It was a desperation attempt.
Waste.
Like you said, it was a waste. It was a waste in my opinion. And, I got to tell you something, and I usually kind of get down on the crowds when they suck. I mean, now when you got Chicago and you've got some of the other big cities who are consistently on fire from the beginning to the very end. The Cajun Dome, I mean, you could have taken a nap in there and not been woken up at all, okay? But I have to say, I'm on their side.
What they were given.
I'm on their side because what I saw would have put me to sleep. Matter of fact, if you rewatch Raw and you see when Roman Reigns pins Seth Rollins after that spear and they go to the crowd shot, and there was probably about a good maybe, 100 people in the shot, maybe more, 150, whatever. I think about 4 of them were standing up and clapping and cheering and being actually excited about what they just saw. Most people were sitting with their arms folded. Some people were actually kind of doing the old waving their hand thing. And some people were just looking the other way trying to find the vendor. And just the vibe, the flow. I wanted to make sure, because see, this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Doug and I never talked before Raw. We always try to get our stuff here on the show to be really genuine and very precise and very spontaneous, because I want to know your reactions. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you thought about the show. And you and I sometimes don't agree with things. We may say, well, Bray Wyatt, he's not so good. No, Bray Wyatt's great. Well, this guy's not so good. Well, no, this guy's great. I didn't like this angle. No, it was good. I don't like this situation. Well, but you and I think this is the first time that we really have both agreed to the very, very core of what they're giving us. And if you're saying that Vince McMahon is writing everything for John Cena right now, that totally makes sense, because like we talked about a couple weeks ago, he got the shit beat out of him at SummerSlam. SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Literally got the shit beat. I mean, suplex 16 times, and we saw a little piece of that inside the ring. There was no reason for him to come back like this big Lionheart and do what he done. He should still be coming to us from rehab or showing with a neck brace or showing on crutches or something. Keep that sympathy factor alive to give some sort of interest in the show. Him locking him inside the thing and having Khali stand guard, it just was just
ridiculous.
Stupid. It was dumb. I'm sorry. It was dumb. I didn't like the flow of it. I didn't like the way things went. And like you said, I wonder how many people are really going to start bringing that number down from 1.8 even down to a lower number that we saw like when WCW Thunder was on in 1999. You could get to those. You could get to those numbers.
They're literally thinking about pushing the envelope again.
Huh.
And I don't know if that's a response to Monday or what, but reports today you have, and we've seen it over the last few weeks, the sexual tension between Paige and AJ Lee. Mm-hmm. They're actually going to push that farther. And they're going to push more of the language like with Roman Reigns. And they're going to push more of the language with John Cena. They're going to start teasing and trying to push that PG rating as much as possible without crossing over. And that's because they think, well, if we just bump that up, our fans will be happy.
Well.
And no, it's mostly about the crap creative ideas that y'all are coming up with. Get rid of half of your writing team and let these wrestlers actually go be what they're made to be, wrestlers. Give them ideas and then let them go do it themselves. Don't write every single word out on a piece of paper and expect them to remember every single thing you wrote for them, because half the stuff is cheesy and stupid in the first place.
Yes, it was. And we talk about the Bella thing all the time. I mean, and here's a little example of what's happened here. Yeah, big bomb. There's the bomb. Yeah, here's the bomb. There it is. Yep, there's Raw. There's Raw for you. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the bomb dropping. That brings me to my
superstar of the week. My remote control.
Your remote control. That was my second guess.
I literally, for the first time in 2014,
yeah.
I changed the channel.
Really?
I changed the channel.
Did you come back to it?
I came back to it. I wanted to watch Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, but the whole time I'm watching, I'm going, okay, why do I want to see this again on Sunday?
I know.
This isn't Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, which I could watch 90,000 times.
And where was Dean Ambrose?
Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins that I could watch 90,000 times. This is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And Roman Reigns, the babyface, got the clean victory on Raw.
I know.
And I immediately went, okay, I'm done. And I looked, and I changed the channel, and then I changed it back during the rally. Mm-hmm. And half the crowd left at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I would have left too.
I'm just saying, like, when they realized that Mark Henry is the main event segment, and that there is not going to be a run-in by John Cena, there's not going to be a run-in by Brock Lesnar, people left. Yeah. I'm telling you, on hard camera, I know. At least a quarter of the people on hard camera left.
Yeah.
The whole deck was gone almost.
If I was in the audience, I would have been sitting there like going, when is this over?
So, yeah, I changed the channel for the first time. I went to see what was going on with the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts lost that game. That was a better game than anything. And, and that's the other thing. You brought up a good point about Monday Night Football because you talk about the competition factor. And I have read so many things online about saying Vince McMahon and the WWE need some competition like they had with Nitro back in the mid to late 90s. And they need to have something to go against, to have that thriving, to have that hunger. Well, they do have competition with football, but they know that football and wrestling doesn't always mix. You may have football fans, you may have wrestling fans, you may have both. But you have to remember, nobody is going to beat Monday Night Football's ratings. It is huge, consistent business. Raw is live.
Well, no, but the Attitude Era did that. But it's not the Attitude Era anymore.
No, it's not. That's my point. Is they're not. And what I meant to say was they're not going to beat that with the current product that they're giving us now. And to me, it's just so lame. And I'm going to go back to even. I'm going to pinpoint even more. I'm going to get more picky here, Doug. I'm going to get more picky on why I didn't like what I saw. You remember back in the day when Mean Gene Okerlund was on TV, or even someone like Ken Resnick or whoever, and they'd sit with the microphone, they'd interview somebody, and they'd have some banter back and forth. They'd make it interesting. They'd bring up a subject they didn't like, and they'd be like, well, who are you to sit there and talk about? That was fun. It was funny. It was interesting. Now backstage they have, which, Renee Young is very attractive, and this other guy, Tom something or other. I mean, he's sitting there. It's like, Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest, Seth Rollins. Seth, what is your thoughts about this Sunday's match against Roman Reigns?
Scripted.
Then
It's 100% scripted.
That's my point. I hate it. I hate the scripting. And there's a lot of guests I've had on this show, a lot of wrestlers who have said, you know what? We got something in front of us that said Friday, March 10th, Philadelphia, Spectrum, your opponent is Coco Beware. Opponent is Coco Beware. Go. That's what you have to do. Yeah. And they don't, to me, it's just, it is scripted so much, there's not a believability factor in it at all. It just really hurts my eyes, and it's getting worse, Doug. It's getting worse. And I'm really worried where they're going to go with this, because what is going to happen now when we go into Survivor Series? I mean, what do you really have?
I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a few. I mean, I don't know who the champion is going to be there.
No, I don't either.
But I will say that you're going to have Team Authority versus Team Roman Reigns, or Team Triple H versus Team Roman Reigns. It's going to be the Authority versus some faces.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have Team Paige versus Team AJ, or Team Nikki versus Team Brie, more than likely.
Most likely, yeah.
And then the rest of it's going to be filler.
Well, the one thing I did like about Raw, and I still think that he's a great presence, and the people do get generally excited when he comes in there, is Brock Lesnar. I thought Brock Lesnar, but the only thing I didn't like is when he came out and started rolling around the floor with John Cena and looking to me weak. It just made him look weak, because, okay, he's going to have a certain amount of defense and offense on the pay-per-view. We know that. But on a live Raw show, there's no reason for them to put him on the floor, rolling around, getting his shit beat out of him, and then try to say he's this killer monster. Let him go into the pay-per-view from the regular fan's point of view, who doesn't have the pay-per-view capabilities, who may just watch Raw once in a while, or maybe religiously every week, and let him be built up as that monster. There's no reason, less than 30 days after the last pay-per-view, that John Cena should be having any kind of physical touching or any kind of aggression or anything against Brock Lesnar. To me, I hated that. Up until he got in the ring and started fighting, I thought it was okay. It was okay, because you had the presence of Brock Lesnar. That was enough for people to be, like, wow, this guy's a badass. Look at him. He's work. But then he got in the ring and started going at it. I didn't like it. I didn't like Miz. I didn't like Dolph Ziggler. It just, ugh.
I'll blow your mind. Vince McMahon kind of wants John Cena to win the title on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's the report that came out today.
So that means he'll be a 16-time world champion like someone else we know. Woo!
Let's talk about that. Let's get some predictions.
Yeah,
going.
let's
we
do
got
that.
Like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
left.
you're right about that. You know what? Though it's so easy when you get frustrated and everything else. Okay, let's go down.
I understand.
Yeah, I know, and I'm glad that we're in agreement here, because I know you're a huge fan, and I know that you really enjoyed up until about the last few weeks, because going after WrestleMania, going into WrestleMania, things were pretty good, and there's a lot of reasons, but we'll sometimes.
All season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Okay, let's start from the bottom, work
They
our
don't
way.
care.
Yeah. All right. Now, what we understand is that Chris Jericho will be having Christian, Vince McMahon's favorite good-looking guy.
Buddha.
Yes, he will be. Did you say Buddha?
Captain Blue Dot.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of this. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Okay. Chris Jericho will be having him on. It'll be an episode of. That should be the pre-show.
Show.
Yeah, the Chris show, the pre-show. So we'll just leave it at that. Going into the actual matches.
Show.
Yeah, Peep Show. Christian will be on that when we got Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton. From what we understand, this will probably be the last appearance we'll see Jericho on for a while. He will be taking some time off, a la Rob Van Dam, a la Batista, and pretty much everybody else who's part-time in the WWE. I just think that right now there's too much going to where there's a current program with Randy Orton being a mainstay right now. I just don't see Jericho going over in this match. I got to think that maybe Randy Orton beats him somehow pretty good, which will explain the absence of Chris Jericho storyline-wise. I'm going with Randy Orton.
If Randy Orton loses, I give up.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
It's got to be Randy Orton. There's no other reason to have this match than to keep Randy Orton looking like a title contender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's still complaining about not having a rematch, which I assume wrestling logic means at some point he's going to want to split from the Authority because they're not giving him his rematch.
Right.
But,
yeah, that could happen. That could happen.
At some point. But it's got to be Randy Orton.
Okay. Next match will be Mark Henry versus Rusev in a flag match. That's the crickets. I don't know if you can hear those or not. Mark Henry and Rusev in a flag match. I got to believe that
it's not a flag match.
Flag match. Isn't it a flag match?
No.
Oh, you know what?
Match.
Why does it say flag match up here? Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's not, because someone wrote flag match up here on my notes. I think someone's screwing with me here in the studio. I really do. That wasn't there the first time I saw it. That's odd. Okay, yeah, no, Rusev and Mark Henry, we know that. I don't think you're going to see Mark Henry take this. I just think that Rusev, to me, they got to keep playing out this heel character. They've got to get somewhere down the road where somebody will come in of some sort of substance and beat him. I'm still praying and hoping that we do see Kurt Angle. I don't think it's going to happen. But again, I'm going to go with Rusev. I just think it makes too much sense.
I'm going to pick Rusev just because I don't know if they're going to give Mark Henry the rub here, but it's not going to be Angle. Angle's probably going to sign with Global Force Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett's company.
Yeah.
Which is super weird. But for me, I think it's a toss-up, honestly, because it could be either one. But if they want to keep building Rusev as a monster, have him take out one of your biggest guys.
Yeah.
I'm picking Rusev.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. We talked about it on Raw. They locked up. We saw Seth Rollins get pinned clean by Double R. I do think that somewhere in this match, we got to have Dean Ambrose get involved one way, shape, or form. I don't know about the clean victory on either one of these guys. Maybe a DQ, maybe something there. I'm going to say Seth Rollins just because he lost on Monday. I think it's time to turn the tide and let him get a victory some way, shape, or form. I don't think a pinfall or a submission on Roman Reigns is going to be the deal here. I'm guessing something with a DQ, something like that involves Dean Ambrose. That's my pick.
It's got to be something fishy.
Fishy.
I would think Kane gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
Then possibly Ambrose. Ambrose has to make an appearance. If he doesn't, then they're wasting creative juices. And again, half of those guys need to be fired. Honestly, we just saw a clean finish from the face. If we see a clean finish from the face again, I'm throwing something through a window. Because there's no point. There's no logic.
No, I know.
There's got to be a fishy finish and or a DQ with Ambrose running in. That's what I'm going to say. If not, Rollins has to win.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
So Reigns win.
Well, to me, it just makes sense that Rollins has to win this match just because, with it being on a pay-per-view level and we saw Rollins lose on Monday, to me, it's the old formula. You lose 6 days before, you win the next time. So I'm just going to go with that. Paige versus AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella. This is a Divas Championship match.
I swear to God.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'll just say Paige will hang on to it. That's all. I just think it's...
I'm going to say Paige, but I swear if Nikki wins that title, if they try to force that down everybody's throats, I'm going to lose my mind.
No, it's not going to happen because you're going to see Brie get involved somehow, and she's going to cost Nikki a chance at this. And if that happens, it'll be some distraction. We'll see Paige cheat somehow, pin AJ Lee, maybe a schoolboy, or in this sense, a schoolgirl. And then, that's pretty much how it's going to end. That's my prediction. That way she leaves the pay-per-view looking good.
Yep, I'm going to go with the same thing. Paige retains because of the interference by Brie.
Okay. I think it's time for a change. And I think that it's going to happen Sunday night. The Usos versus Goldust and Stardust. I believe the Usos have held that championship for more than half a year so far by now.
Since February.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And it's probably time for a change. I think it's now time to let the baby faces chase it for a while. I mean, they're going to play the injury on one of the Usos. I can't remember which one got hurt.
He wasn't even injured Monday.
No, I know, but I mean, they did that.
He didn't even have tape on his knee.
I know, and that's another oversight that they just... I know. Trust me, we talked about it. I'm saying this is where Goldust and Stardust get the tag belts. I say bring it on. I like their change to a heel side. I think it'll be good for them to go ahead and run with it for a while. Let the Usos chase them. Let some new tag teams come in. I'm saying upset Goldust and Stardust, new tag team champions.
I think titles change on the pay-per-view, but I don't know about these. The smart money's always on the daggum Usos because they never pulled the trigger on changing them.
Okay.
I want the Dust to win. I just don't think it's going to happen. I have to pick the Usos.
The Dusts. I like that. So you're going Usos. I'm going the Dusts. I'm going to say the Dust. You say Usos. Okay, very cool. When I say Dust, you say Gold. Ready? Dust.
Gold.
Okay. Sheamus versus Cesaro. That was exciting radio right there, Doug. Sheamus and Cesaro, the U.S. Championship. 6 months ago, I didn't see this being anywhere even near a match on the program, with especially Cesaro's character evolving to where it is right now. I just didn't see it. I'm just going to say Sheamus holds it. I'm going to say he retains the U.S. Championship. It just doesn't make any sense for
and
Cesaro.
I'm going the opposite way.
Oh,
I think Cesaro. I think the title changes.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're saying Cesaro wins, and then okay. All right. Cool. So we're in disagreement on both of those. All right. A couple more minutes we got left. Let's run through these really quickly here. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz, Intercontinental Championship match. This could go either way. I'm kind of torn because I'm thinking it is a coin toss, because I'm thinking, well, the smart move is to keep letting Ziggler hold the championship. He's a brand new champion. Let him keep running with it. I don't think The Miz really needs it. So I'm going to say Dolph Ziggler retains.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Okay, cool. Brock Lesnar. John Cena World Heavyweight Championship match. You said it. If he wins, maybe we riot. That being John Cena. But cut and dry, simply put it down the middle. Brock Lesnar has to retain this and hopefully hold this championship into WrestleMania of next year in San Francisco. San Francisco, eh? So I'm saying Brock Lesnar.
If I have to make a decision right now,
yes,
Brock Lesnar. But I'm not, like, on the Wrestling Rumors website, we do predictions. I'm not even going to give my predictions for that match until Saturday, because I'm still waffling back and forth. Lesnar's not advertised for any WWE TV following Night of Champions. They're teasing all this bullcrap with John Cena. John Cena's going to be going off with Roman Reigns, or Seth Rollins as his next feud. For me, if I'm going to book the title off of Lesnar, I'm having Cena beat him somehow, whether it's cheating or something.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar destroys him, Seth Rollins cashes in, you have a fresh feud and a fresh champion going forward in the fall. And that can lead Brock to work somebody like The Rock or somebody at WrestleMania. That's what Vince wants. Anyway, I don't know. I'm literally at a loss for words on this match.
Well,
all because of how it's been booked. I really, if Vince pulls the bullcrap he's been doing on TV, we literally might see John Cena win. But I tell you this, if John Cena wins that title and Seth Rollins doesn't cash in, and see, that's the thing, they may even troll the fans with Seth Rollins coming to cash in the title. We might not see Dean Ambrose until the last minute of the night. And if that's the case, John Cena will be a 16-time champion and will leave Night of Champions as the champion.
Yeah.
And Dean Ambrose will thwart Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank cash. Yep. And that's just ridiculous.
Well, if John Cena wins, here's my reaction. Yeah. So anyway, I'll be screaming. Maybe not that high, but I'll definitely be screaming. Well, we come to the end here of our segment, Doug. Good show. I like our opinions. I like our thoughts, our in-depth analysis here. That is pretty much our predictions. We'll see what happens next week right here on the 24th. And I wish you a very fine week ahead. And let's see what happens. Hopefully they can redeem themselves with the Night of Champions pay-per-view. And we'll go from there, my friend.
All right, so we'll catch you in the next one.
Okay, buddy. Always good talking to you, Doug. Take care.
Always.
Okay, buddy. See ya. All right, Doug McDonald there, WrestlingRumors.net. WrestlingRumors.net. Check it out. A great, fine website. And we're coming back with some more wrestling talk right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. We've got George, the Animal Steele, coming your way. Do not go away.
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Hi, Marie here for wannasing.com. Are you looking for professional DJ or karaoke services for your next holiday party or get-together? wannasing.com can provide the best in sound, lighting, and a professional MC to host your next event. Whether it be a company party, birthday party, wedding, or any occasion, wannasing.com is ready to provide the fun and make it a night to remember for years to come. Call 480-664-8801. That's 480-664-8801. Mention this radio ad and receive a special discount for your next fun event. wannasing.com.
Of course, I had to play Def Leppard Animal because we have one on the phone with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud and honored to have someone on the phone here today that has been inside the wrestling business for many, many years. I'm not going to go into exact numbers here because I don't want to, get too detailed. But we're going to talk about his career in depth here, have a good talk, a good conversation. Someone who I grew up watching, and I know a lot of people out there listening to our show, the longtime fans, will also appreciate this interview. We're happy as heck to have him on the phone. He's my next guest. He's the one and only George the Animal Steele. George, how you doing, sir?
Hey, God's been good. What can I say?
Well, you just said it. You've been good. That's a lot of good things to say that you've been good. Some people say, well, life is this, life is that, but you've been through some few things here in your life with health issues and whatnot, and some good things and some bad things, and we're glad you can have you on the phone today and talk about some wrestling.
Very good.
All right. Now, George, the wrestling world has changed quite a bit over the years. I mean, today's product is a lot different than the days that we remember. First question I got to ask is, do you even follow professional wrestling these days? I mean, do you watch it? Do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it? I mean, what are your thoughts on the...
I enjoy some of it. What I do is I tape it, and they have a 3-hour Raw show, and I see about all I want to see in about 15 minutes. I go through it pretty quick, and if I see somebody that, that I want to hear more about, I'll watch it, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Is there anybody on the current product that you really enjoy watching in terms of their talking ability or their wrestling ability or just their overall makeup? I mean, is there anybody that just really stands out for you?
I have a lot of respect for Randy Orton.
Yes.
Randy's the third generation. I wrestled his grandfather and his dad. And I guess he's kind of lucky he don't have to put up with me.
Yeah. Well, maybe a few other people might say that about you, too. You never know. So that's funny you say that, though, Jim, because I remember Randy Orton obviously coming up in the ranks, and, Cowboy Bob Orton, his father, a tremendous, tremendous technical wrestler, just someone who was very fluent inside the ring. Smooth as silk is how he's called him. What do you remember about wrestling Bob Orton? Because that was the day and age, 85, 86, right around that time when, he was the heel with Roddy Piper, and then later on with Adrian Adonis. You were coming into your babyface stance with Captain Lou Albano and the Junkyard Dog. What do you remember about Bob Orton in regards to his wrestling ability?
Bob Orton was just a real talent, and he had unusual strength. He was kind of a tall, skinny guy. Really, he wasn't all muscled out.
Right.
But he could.
Right.
But he could pick me up like a feather and slam me, and he was just a very strong guy, a lot stronger than what he appeared.
Yeah.
And a good guy inside and outside the ring.
Nice. Yeah, he was always one of my favorites inside the ring as well. We've had him on the show a couple of times in the past, and like you said, pick you up. You being a big guy like yourself and whatnot. And we talked about Randy Orton and stuff like that. I mean, do you like the way that he? I mean, do you like the way that he's progressed in becoming a professional wrestler? Is he the type of wrestler that we should see nowadays on TV? Is he that kind of guy?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, it goes way back. Bobby and his wife were visiting us here in Cocoa Beach, and Randy was about, maybe 11 or 12 years old. Hyper, as you can see, ADD, hyper, on-the-go type guy, and a very good high school wrestler later on, very good amateur. So I think it all shows in the ring right now. He's got a great psychology to himself. If they use psychology anymore, I don't think they do, but he's got a great touch. But he's got I think he stands out big time.
You know, I agree with what you just said there about the ring psychology really taking a back seat to today's product. And, you know, I think that they rush the matches. They rush the feuds too quickly. You may see like 2 weeks prior to a big pay-per-view that now all of a sudden, boom, the guy is on that particular thing. You know, I go back to the days when we'll include you in one of the matches here. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat winning the title from Randy Macho Man Savage, WrestleMania 3 inside the Silverdome there in Detroit, Michigan. You were by the side of the Dragon, and you know that progressed for about a good 4 or 5 months leading up into that big payoff. They didn't touch each other inside the ring. They didn't have weekly confrontations or I mean, they really played it off to a T to get to that big upper echelon known as WrestleMania, and bam, it was magic. We're missing that today.
Well, wrestling is, you know, that's part of the magic that's changed. Back then, it was still an arena product.
Mm-hmm.
We used TV strictly to promote our shows for the arenas.
Yes.
And now it's strictly a TV product,
Mm-hmm.
and so things are rushed a little bit because they have to have commercials and pay for the time that they have, and so on and so forth. So it's really not fair to compare the two. They're just a totally different business, totally different deal. I look at the WWF with WWE now
Mm-hmm.
with total respect, but it also, I say this respectfully, but it reminds me a whole lot of the circus.
Okay.
The circus is coming to town, and that's about all they advertise. They don't tell you who the tightrope walkers are or who's going to be doing the rings or any of that stuff. It's just the circus is coming to town. Now it's the WWE's coming to town, and it's not really important which talent's on top because they've developed a great product name, and that's what they're selling now is the WWE, not particular talents. So I look at it and I scratch my head a little bit and I wonder, well, why aren't these guys getting organized into a union or something?
Jesse,
because you know, they don't have the Hulk Hogans or the Bruno Sammartinos or the George Steeles that are standout talent.
Yeah.
So they could get organized and really have a good deal going, I think.
Nah, maybe they might want
That
to.
was a whole curveball.
They may want to call Jesse Ventura and see if they can get some help on that. So
Well,
the union part of it.
way back when the NFL and the NBA and the Major League Baseball was going into a union, the guy that was behind most of that was a fellow by the name of Bob Wolf out of Boston, and he was a very dear friend of mine.
Nice.
And he wanted to organize wrestling at the time. He contacted me to be the man. And I told him that in our business it wouldn't work because, first of all, there's a big difference in how we used to get paid.
Okay.
And there still is, but there's not a big difference in talent anymore. So I can't see where a guy that's making $5,000 a night and went on a show, and another guy that's making $200.
Yeah.
I can't see the guy making the $5,000 kicking back so the guy can make a decent living. That wouldn't happen back then. Now it might. I don't know.
Well, that's a great point. You brought up a great point. You can't see how you can justify one man making that because it's the same kind of talent each and every night on the same roster. And I also like what you said a moment ago, George, when you said that back in the day that you used TV for what it was because it was an arena show. Now it's the total opposite. It's all TV. It's all about, hey, we've got 15 shows every week, on TV, and you got to catch them all, and blah, 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 blah. You got the network now. You've got pay-per-view.
We got pay-per-view.
Yeah. It really has changed quite a bit. I do miss those days. I have to tell you, I miss them. I really do. So,
but you never go back. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I should say bothering me. It's not. Because the wrestling business was very good to me and my family for a lot of years. I got into it on a part-time basis so I could afford to teach and coach, and I did that for most of my career. I was a football coach in Madison Heights, Michigan.
Yep.
And wrestle on weekends and basically in the summertime in the Northeast.
Yeah.
In the weekends, I'd wrestle around Detroit with the old Chic promotions. So, it was just something that I did so I could afford to teach and coach.
Excellent.
Now, I see a lot of, somebody told me about I should check out YouTube and look at what's going on with what they call shoot interviews.
Yes, there's a lot of them.
And I did that the last couple of days, and I'm saddened by it. I mean, here's guys that, I don't know how to say this politically correct,
Please,
but I think politically correct is
just say it.
is stupid anyhow.
Just say it.
There's guys that were working. They weren't shooters. They weren't beating anybody. And now they're going on these interviews and talking about how the other guy wasn't as good as they were at something or another. Mm-hmm. Or how they were better, they were this and they were that. It's so childish, I think. Come on, give me a break. You know, the fans know what the business is. Vince McMahon has exposed it, and probably rightly so. Mm-hmm. So they know what the business is. So when guys get in and start talking about, this guy wouldn't put me over, I wouldn't put him, that's childish and stupid, and it's not good business. Yeah. Now, I'm not. You'll never hear me say any individual's names, because if I can't say something good about somebody, I'm probably not going to say it.
Well, and
those are the guys that I worked with were great guys. Back then, now I don't know what's going on now.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said what you just said there a moment ago, because later on in the interview, I want to play the name game, which I'll be bringing up just some names of, you know, past people you've worked with or wrestled or whatever else, and I want to hear your honest to God comments about them. So whether it's good or bad or a mixture, we'll do that. And by the way, if you're just tuning in here to Off the Top Rope Radio here at Brian Shank, we are talking to the legendary George the Animal Steele right here on KQCK Radio, heard worldwide on KQCK.com. Check us out each every Wednesday, 5 Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm very honored to have George Animal Steele.
Where are you located in the Pacific there?
We are actually about 40 miles south of Phoenix and about 70 miles north of Tucson in the East Valley of Arizona.
Oh, great area.
Beautiful area. Maricopa, and, you know, we got Mesa, we got Chandler and Gilbert and all that great stuff out here. We really have a nice area out here. I'm really happy where I live. It's been almost 8 years now. It seems like yesterday. So I was born and raised. You know, I don't know if you remember or not, but back in the day, I think back in 2000 or so, you and I did an interview on my old radio show when I used to live in Chicago. I was born and raised in Northern Illinois. It was Off the Top Rope Radio, and you did a fantastic promo for us in your George Animal Steele voice. And it was funny because you're like, Brian, look out, Shank. You know, and it was just tremendous. And I still have all my old tapes from back in the day because we recorded them on cassette back then. And I still have them today. And I threw one in the other day and I listened to it and I brought a nice smile to my face. And then when you and I communicated the other day via computer, I was so honored and so great to have you back on the show something 13, 14 years later. So it's wonderful to have you on. And I'm glad that we're having this talk because you are talking about some of the great people there in the wrestling world. And do you think that the business, because it has been exposed, like you talked a moment ago, and Bobby the Brain Heenan once said to me, he goes, Brian, he goes, it's like a magician showing you how the tricks are done. The magic is gone, just like the wrestling business. Do you think, George, because the way that the business has been exposed, it's actually hurt the business in a sense to where people are not wanting to follow the current product nowadays, that they found out how the tricks are done and they're through with it?
Boy, that's a tough question. Not necessarily so. I mean, you know, the business is the business, and people now, I think, watch the show to try to guess what the angle's going to be.
Yeah, see that.
And I think that's the whole draw now. I don't think it's about actual matches. I don't think the matches mean that much. That's why I call it a circus.
Yeah.
But I think that they're more concerned about how are they going to do this? Mm-hmm. How is this guy going to do this? And how, you know, I hear people talk about the great champions of the past, and I can only think of probably three, maybe four, what I would really call great champions.
Who are those people?
Huh?
Who are those people?
Well, one would be Luthez.
Excellent, yeah.
One would be Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, yeah.
One would be Hulk Hogan.
Excellent.
So I wasn't crazy about his wrestling, but he was a great champion.
Yes, he was, indeed.
And then the other one would be this kid that's there now that he's not the champion right now. He has been, and in my opinion, probably should be, because he's proven that he's a real deal fighting in that, those crazy cages. What's his name? Big, strong kid from Minnesota.
Oh, Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
Well, he is the current champion right now in the WWE, so yeah.
Oh, is he? Well,
yes.
That's what he should be.
Yeah, he beat John
Cena.
Because
he's a real deal.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, let me ask you this, George, because since you brought up Brock Lesnar, I think this is a great segue here, because before we had you on the show here, we do our little segment for a half hour, me and Doug McDonald from WrestleRumors.net, and we talked about this, and we didn't like the Raw show this past Monday because it seems like they gave away too much 6 days before a pay-per-view, and you just hit a real good nail on the head there by talking about Brock Lesnar. You know, and we talked about it earlier in the interview with you and I about Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man never even touching each other 5 months up until the show on pay-per-view. We saw Brock Lesnar and John Cena, who are going to have a match at Night of Champions this Sunday, have a lockup, have a throwdown. They went at it for a good 2 or 3 minutes and whatever else before security broke them up. Does that weaken the element of the match 6 days later on a pay-per-view, or is that okay to do in your opinion?
Oh, I think it weakens it big time.
Yes, I do too.
I think that, in fact, there's a mystique about not touching each other.
Yes.
There's a mystique about, and Brock Lesnar does this so well when he does this little dance in a guy's face while the guy's talking to him or whatever, not touching him, just dancing and looking at him like, come on, baby.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. To reach out and touch you, it takes away from it.
Yeah.
Why in the world would a guy like John Cena, and this is not a knock, grab a hold of somebody like Brock Lesnar in real life?
Yeah.
And why would Brock lower himself to touch him prior to a match coming up in another week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not championship material stuff, I don't think.
No.
But that's not their fault. That's the writer's fault.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing, too, is that we saw Brock Lesnar literally just beat the living crap out of John Cena with 16 German suplexes at SummerSlam, and now here just a month later, here's John Cena walking around like there's no side effects or nothing. I mean, wouldn't you think that John Cena would be a little bit more in pain, a little bit more reluctant to even try to latch up with a guy, let the sympathy factor play towards the fans and the angle and the psychology, if there was some, in
Absolutely.
You know?
That's the only way to do it, I would think.
Yeah.
But, it's a different world. What can I do? Reality shows, wrestling's become a reality show.
Yeah, it has. They got Total Divas, which I tried watching about 5 minutes of it the other day, and I just was like, oh my God, I feel like I've lost brain cells watching this show, So let's go back in time a little bit here, because I do want to talk about your most famous stint, in my opinion, the World Wrestling Federation of the day. I loved it when Captain Lou brought you around, the whole how now brown cow thing, and how you talked a few words, and that you...
Right.
I love that. I thought it was so funny, and I've got a couple emails that I want to read to you, and if I can, since we're talking about that, I want to read this email I got today, because we always say, hey, our guest is so-and-so. We want you to go ahead and, give us your best here, and I want to read this one, please, if I may. This is from Vic out in Florida. So he said Port Richey, so I don't know how far that is from you.
Not far.
Okay, good. He says, hello, Brian. Love the show. My question is for your awesome guest. He says, you have had many different signature moves throughout your career, biting an outstretched arm, crossface chicken wing, full Nelson, power slam, shoulder breaker, and the suplex slam. Which of these was your favorite move to use as your finisher, and why? And before you answer, I just want you to know that I found you very entertaining, and you were my favorite wrestler to watch coming down the aisle, as well in the ring and your exit. I can't believe Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked you as number 267 out of 500 best wrestlers of all time in 2003. If you are sitting in as Brian's guest today, then obviously they didn't know what the hell they were judging. If it were a beauty pageant, then I might agree. Just kidding. I love you, Vic from Port Richey, Florida. I thought it was a very nice email.
That's funny. It's funny, and I got a couple of answers for that.
Okay.
For one, my favorite move was a flying hammerlock.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I think it was probably the most devastating visual thing you've ever seen in wrestling, as far as something looking like it's really injuring somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty powerful move. Most people can't do it or couldn't do it. They tried to copy it and they couldn't. With that said, the cartoonish part of George the Animal started in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went to the WWF in 68, went to Pittsburgh first in 67. That's where I got the name Steele, George Steele. In 68, they brought me into New York in the Boston and Northeast area. I was the only heel that didn't have a manager, that did my own interviews, didn't have a green tongue, talked very fluently, and did very good interviews, as a matter of fact. One of the guys that grew up with the WWF and the inside, Ed Cohen was the guy that booked all the arenas around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love it way back before I become a cartoon character. And I was a rugged, tough wrestling heel. All this nonsense that they see with the green tongue and eating the turnbuckles, That started in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And I call that my cartoon character. So if you were a wrestling fan and you saw George Steele in a turnbuckle and drooling and schmitting over Elizabeth, that's a cartoon. So you might not want to rate him very hard as a wrestler.
Yeah, that's a good.
I will say this.
That's a good point.
Anyone prior to that northeastern sector with the old WWF that got in the ring with me, left the ring with total respect,
Yep.
including Bruno Sammartino.
Nice.
That being because in those days, the heel kind of dictated the flow of the match.
Yes.
And the psychology of the match. And I was very good at the psychology of a match.
Yes, indeed.
And I have actually had matches in Madison Square Gardens where I hadn't touched Bruno yet, and a riot started.
Wow.
And, you know, that's psychology.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I don't care if they rate me number 10, number 250, or 500. You know why I don't care?
Why is that?
My career's over.
Yeah. Sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I said I got into wrestling as a coach and a teacher.
Uh-huh.
It was always a part-time business with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't go full-time until 1986.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about from 62 to 86, and all my big-time stuff, I was a school teacher working part-time.
Mm-hmm.
The cartoon stuff came about the time I quit teaching and coaching because I saw with the Hulk Hogan things and the Pipers and all this stuff that was going on that we were becoming more of a business that was selling lunch buckets and action figures and that kind of stuff, and not wrestling.
I know.
So I switched on purpose. I did it myself. Nobody told me what to do. And it carried my career another 5 or 6 years into my big-time retirement money.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's too many guys that never had a championship belt that worked in all the main events in the Northeast and across the country and parts of the world, never had a belt, sold out arenas all the time, made the impact that I think I did, that I know I did.
I agree.
And that's I'm not, it doesn't sound like I got a large ego.
No,
I don't.
No.
I had an opportunity that was given to me, and I knew how to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, so again, I don't care how they rate me. Rate my paycheck.
There you go. Rate me with the money that you write me. I agree with you. We only got about 5 more minutes left here in the show, George. I'm really enjoying this. We could talk probably for another couple hours about your career, but unfortunately, the clock is ticking. It's our enemy. But I want to go ahead and give you 5 quick names of people that you've worked with in the WWF back in the day, and I just want you to kind of give me, a sentence or two or a quick story or something like that. Keep in mind we only have about 5 minutes, so I just want to throw these names out to you and just go ahead and give me the first thing that comes to your head. Okay? Here we go. Junkyard Dog, Mr. Sylvester Ritter, JYD.
Junkyard Dog was a very talented, great. We did a lot of tag team stuff together.
Yep.
Just a real strong talent. He was very, very, very entertaining.
Yeah, he was.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you mess with him back in the Mid-South days, you were in a lot of trouble because that was how serious it was back in the day, let me tell you.
He was the real deal.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was. Okay, next name, Captain Lou Albano, someone who you were with the threesome there with UJYD, and, of course, Captain Lou brought you into the next realm of your career. What's your thoughts about the Captain Lou?
Captain Lou was a very special man. He was, I had 4 or 5 different managers. Mm-hmm. And I would say that Captain was the most entertaining manager that I ever had, but he was also one of the most difficult managers that I ever had. The reason being, when you're in a match, way back when we used a lot of psychology, and you're working to get the crowd in a certain spot, and Lou would often do something off the wall that would distract from what you're trying to do in the ring. So then you'd have to start all over again. A guy like Ernie Roth or the Grand Wizard would stand in the corner and not move.
Yeah.
And so that made it a lot easier. But talk-wise and entertaining-wise, Captain Lou is by far the best, and probably my best friend is manager. Him or Blassie, Freddie Blassie.
Freddie Blassie, great name there too. Okay, another one here. We got 3 out of 5 here coming up here. Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful is a tremendous athlete. He was a heck of a football player, a heck of a football fullback.
Yeah.
He was the real deal. He fought some issues. He was a bit bipolar at times. But God gave him that. It turned out that it was a gift for him. And Paul and I have become very strong partners speaking for the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I could have told you that way back when, that would have been a nutcase. But Paul's very special.
He is, yeah. I got to know Paul pretty well the last couple of years through Brian Blair, who's a good friend of mine. And Paul's a great guy. He's very close to his God and his spiritual beliefs and whatnot. He's a really good person. Okay, number 4 here, someone who, he was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, if you ask him, Wayne Ferris, the honky-tonk man. What do you think about Wayne?
Wayne is special also. Wayne's the guy that talked me into going into the independent shows after I was done with the WWF.
Yeah?
That was very late in my career because I spent 10 years as a agent, in the upper echelons of management in the WWF.
Right.
But the most heat I ever saw him get was in Virginia, what's the main town in Virginia?
Roanoke? Richmond?
Richmond.
Yeah.
And he was singing like, Elvis Presley.
Yeah, sure.
He kept saying, and I'll do it one more time. The fourth time he did that, we had to drag a guy out of the ring that was going to beat him up because he didn't want to sing anymore. So that's a strange kind of what am I trying to say? Psychology.
Right.
But it worked.
Yeah, the good old.
He was a talent. He was an off the wall, not necessarily a wrestling talent.
Yeah.
He was a show talent.
Yeah, the good old days of showmanship. And, he's only about 45 minutes from where I live. He's just outside of Gilbert, so that's...
great guy.
Yeah, great guy. Okay, here we go. Last one before we go, and we only got about 2 minutes left in the show, George, so I don't mean to rush you, sir, but I just wanted to get your opinion on this one.
You're rushing me. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone who I just have always loved. He's always been one of my favorite wrestlers, if not my favorite wrestler of all time. He left us here a few years ago due to a heart attack, and he was someone you worked with for many, many matches inside the ring. Randy Macho Man Savage. What's your thoughts about the Macho Man?
Randy Savage was the ultimate professional in our business. He was the ultimate professional.
Really?
At times he was hard to deal with because Elizabeth was his wife, and he was very jealous. So I used that, to spark up our matches and so on.
Right.
But I knew Randy. You got to remember that this goes way back. Way back when I first broke into business in Detroit, his dad was a huge star. And Randy was about 12 years old, 10 years old, and used to come there with his dad, along with Lanny. So I knew him as a kid, and as this thing all built up, the ultimate professional wanted his match to be perfect. And our first match in a big scene was going to be on Saturday Night Main Event. We were going to wrestle the first match on Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah.
First whatever.
Yeah.
And he was all nervous about this, and he had written out about 8 pages of how he wanted the match to go. And I'm a psychologist. Everything I did was called in the ring. So I read the first page and wrinkled it up and threw it in the garbage, and I got rid of all the pages.
What are you doing?
And I said to Randy, I looked him right in the eye, I said, listen, son, listen to me and we'll have a great match.
Nice.
I turned around and walked away. He was going, he was hot. He was really hot.
Yeah?
But from the turn point of it, I've been in the business a long time. We're talking the WWF at that time, and I started way back in, WWF days.
Sure.
First of all, I thought it was disrespectful to come and have a match written up and tell me how to work a match.
Absolutely.
So I say that. I thought it was disrespectful. We had that conversation years later, and he understood where I was coming from.
Nice.
But it was with Randy. It was like a love-hate relationship every night, which made it great from the people's point of view.
Love it.
Because he'd get so hot and angry, and you can't fake that. That's true.
Yeah. Well, and Wayne
I
Ferris.
working with Randy.
Yeah.
And I think he was the ultimate professional.
Yeah, and Wayne
In fact,
Ferris.
the guy came in to the locker room. I just got back from Japan, and he had zippers put on his boots so he didn't have to bend over and lace them so long. And Randy went off.
Really?
You're too dang lazy to lace your boots. You got to have zippers. What kind of pro are you?
Wow.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, like Wayne Ferris once told me one time, he said, I always told Randy, drink the coffee, don't chew the grounds.
That's good.
Yeah, I love him.
Good.
That's great stuff. George, I really enjoyed this time with you today. I'll tell you, 30 minutes went by quickly like a blink of an eye. But, you talk about true professionals in your interview here. You are definitely one of them, my friend. You are a definite true professional, a very educated man, a very likable person, and a very good, honest, awesome person, in my opinion. We've had some very good talks over the years. I know you may not remember all the interviews and stuff that we did in the past, but you've always been very kind to us, and I really appreciate.
Let me say one thing, please.
Please do.
Before we go.
Yes.
I wrote a book. I'm not pushing my book. I'm done with that. But it went over pretty good.
Yeah.
But what I liked about the book, writing a book, is I could see my light, through the rear view mirror of life as you're looking back writing a book.
Yeah.
How God and Jesus was touching my life before I knew Him.
Nice.
And that's the most important thing that I think I got out of wrestling.
Well,
is Jesus Christ.
That's tremendous. I applaud you for that. I really do, and I think that's wonderful. And I believe that there's definitely a strength there that you either have the faith or you don't, and obviously you do. And I know that you and I have had some nice talks about that. George, maybe come the new year here, I'd love to have you back on the show. Maybe pick up where we left off.
Up to you. It's your show.
Okay. It's up to me, then that's the case. You're coming back on the show, my friend, all right? So,
God bless.
All right, George.
And thank you for the time.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you as well. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. All right, there you go. George the Animal Steele, ladies and gentlemen. A true professional, someone who's done a lot of things in this business, and I hope you really enjoyed that interview there with George Steele. And if you didn't get a chance to check this out live, we'll definitely have the link up here very soon on George's Facebook page and pretty much everywhere else for that matter. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I want to thank Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net. Wrestling Rumors. I say it fast sometimes. I apologize. WrestlingRumors.net. If you want to go and check out all the great stuff, what's happening in the world of wrestling today, get updates on your Facebook page, whatever, go check it out. WrestlingRumors.net. Doug McDonald, the senior editor, a good friend of mine. Always a pleasure. I also want to thank all the great emails and some of the texts that we got about George coming on the show today. I want to thank Mr. George the Animal Steele. His real name, Jim Myers, of course. He's pretty open about that. And we had a great time, a great talk. I hope you all enjoyed the interview as well. We'll be back here next Wednesday and every Wednesday right here on KQCK.com. Off the Top Rope Radio is always here for you, and we do appreciate your time as always. We hope you have a very nice week. Enjoy yourselves. Be careful. Be safe out there. And like we always say, hey, we'll see you at the matches.
More music 24 hours a day.
Another day.